Hello and welcome to Mark Talks Mags. I think we're on number 15 now. And I'm going to throw you a bit of a curveball today because up till now we've just been wallowing in musical nostalgia with NMEs and melody makers and sounds and God knows what from 72 to the mid 80s. Well, today we're going to be even more nostalgic, but it's only going to mean anything to people that are my sort of age, because I'm going to take you back to 1972 when some of my friends may have been 8, 10, 12, even maybe a bit older than me. And we've got LookIn from number 48 of LookIn from the 25th of November 1972. Now those of you who remember LookIn, it was advertised as the Junior TV Times. So it was very ITV centric. And it was great. If you were 10, 11, 12 years old, LookIn was just great. It covered a bit of sport, lots of TV, pop music, etc, etc. And on the cover of this one, we've got introducing Black Arrow, the new TV series. Now, I don't remember this. I'm pretty good with my vintage TV, and I don't remember this. But Black Arrow, I'm presuming, is the Robert Louis Stevenson book. As if you've seen any Mark Talks mags, you'll know that I don't actually look in these magazines or papers before we start doing a little look through them. I just leap in, and that's why mistakes are occasionally made. But so I'm not even going to look in it. So I'm presuming this is Robert Louis Stevenson. We've also got a free 4-page extra, Slade, with double-page pin-up, with a win a Slade LP. Well, in 1972, I'm guessing that's probably Slade, S-L-A-Y-E-D. But anyway, let's have a little look inside. We've had a look at the cover, let's look inside. And this was typical fare for from LookIn. You would get strip cartoons of the most popular TV programmes of the day. So you'd get some comedy programmes and you'd get a few children's drama programmes. So we start here with On the Buses, which was typical early 70s, carried on to the mid 70s, of course. Little bit saucy, a little bit naughty, and I think it's remembered more than anything else because Stan's mate, and I can't remember his name. What was his name? Someone's going to tell me. I'm just seeing if I can see it. His mate, Jack, wasn't it? Jack was a real ladies' man, and he was always pulling real young dolly birds, typical early 70s dolly birds. But the funny thing was, Jack was a middle-aged man who frankly was a bit ugly. So where the hell did that come from? He's pulling all these late teens, early 20s-year-old girls. It was all a bit weird. Wouldn't have been quite so bad if he'd been a good-looking guy, but he was an ugly character. And on the opposite page, we've got Crowther in Trouble, which is Leslie Crowther as a young man. Let's turn the page here. Doctor in Charge. So we get the title of the cartoon with a photograph of the characters from the actual TV programme, which, of course, with the Doctor series was Robin Nedwell. So we've got a picture of Robin Nedwell, photograph of Robin Nedwell, and then we have the strip cartoon. And this was fabulous for a 12-year-old to see all this. It was you'd immerse yourself in it. And we go on to the next page, and we've got Stewpot's Lookout. This is Ed Stewpot Stewart, who was a Radio 1 DJ. And was pretty much, as far as I remember, very much the face of LookIn. He not only did a show on Radio 1, but he presented Crackerjack, which people of a certain age will remember very well. There's talk of it coming back, apparently. But Ed Stewart was very much a kids DJ. I remember he had a dog called Arnold, but it wasn't a real dog, it was a tape dog, which he'd go, "How are you, Arnold?" And it'll be, "Bow, bow." So, do you remember Arnold? But Ed Stewart was he was an Everton fan, so I got a lot in common with him. Yeah, a bit juvenile, but very much aimed at the kids. And on the opposite page, we've got a little bit about the Black Arrow, the new series. Let's have a look, see what the story of Black Arrow, based on the famous book by Robert Louis Stevenson. 7-part serial. Was it recommissioned, I wonder? That's something to look up. And we got on the next page, Magpie ABC of Football. This week, our series of soccer through the alphabet brings us to the letter T for Tottenham Hotspur. And it's focusing on the fact that they were the double winning team of 1961, which of course was only 11 years earlier. But looking at the picture of the double winning team from 1961, it looked like it could well have been the 1930s. The swinging 60s turned footballers into pop stars, basically, I guess. And so footballers in 1961 looked very much like men. Whereas by 1972, of course, when this LookIn came out, they had long hair, they had perms, they had long sideys, completely different thing. The swinging 60s and football. Then we got a recipe for rock buns. LookIn Young Footballers Club Gold Star Awards. Tip of the week. When moving forward with the ball and approaching a defender, remember that it is easier to beat a tackle by pushing the ball forward with the outside of the foot so that it goes around your opponent. If you use the inside of your foot, you will find the ball goes directly to the feet of the player who is tackling you. It's 1972, and I guess stepovers hadn't happened then. It was all very simple, inside or outside of the foot. And then we got the Fen Street Gang, another strip cartoon. The Fen Street Gang was a spin-off of Please Sir, which was a classroom comedy where all of the children in the class were meant to be 15, I guess, 15 or 16. Whereas in actual fact, all of the actors and actresses were well into their 20s. And the most popular guy in the class, who was played by a guy called Peter Cleal, he must have been 32 or 33, and he was playing a 15-year-old. Amazing. The Fen Street Gang. We'll probably find further on, there could well be a Please Sir strip cartoon. Your View. Here's the letters page. And there's a picture of Andre Previn, the classical conductor, in the middle, and there's a letter saying, according to the letters of angry pop fans in LookIn number 42, all lovers of classical music are squares who go around wearing bow ties and speaking in elocutionated voices. I think that these pop fanatics don't know much about the people who play or compose classical music. Have they ever heard of Andre Previn? He's one of the world's leading orchestral conductors. He composes and plays both jazz and classical music. And get this. And he often wears flowered shirts, rings on his fingers, and has long hair. Not everyone who dislikes pop is a square, nor is everyone who dislikes the classics stupid. It's possible to like both kinds of music. And that's from Vivian Lewis of Milford Haven. And Kevin Miles, who was a star of Elephant Boy, who was the guest editor of the Post Bag, said, "Well said, Vivian. I think that's the last word on this subject." Oh, and here we go. There we go. We've got a double-page strip cartoon of Please Sir, which, as I say, the Fen Street Gang was a spin-off of that. And clearly the star of this particular week's strip cartoon was Potter, who was the janitor at the school that Please Sir was set in. He was quite a character, Potter. Then we go on to Howl, which was the TV programme Howl. Howl, where kids would write into the TV programme with how does somebody do this? How does this happen? How does that happen? It was based around the how, the Indian greeting. And so once again, Bunty James, Jack Hargreaves, John Miller and Fred Dinage are all set to answer your questions. Well, how nostalgic is that? Then we've got Stomping with Slade. This week's exciting free 4-page extra invites you to start stomping with Slade. So we've got a little bit about each member. And that's interesting because I didn't know that was true. Maybe they were lying at the time. I'll have to check that out. Apparently Noddy Holder, was born in 1950. He's 5'8", which is shorter than I thought he was. His favourite singers are Joe Cocker and Stevie Wonder. I thought he was a bit older than that, I've got to be fair. Jimmy Lee was born in 1952. His favourite singer is John Lennon. Dave Hill was born in 1952. In Devon. And he's only 5'6". Well. And his favourite singer is John Lennon. And Don Powell, the sultry drummer, he was a 6-footer and he was born in 1950. I must admit, and I'm quite prepared to hold my hands up and admit if I'm wrong, but I always thought the Slade boys were a little bit older than that. Not by much, a year or two, but who knows. Oh, and here's a very glamorous picture of them. There we go. Dave Hill with glitter on his lips. Then we got a little bit on the next page about how they formed and how Chaz Chandler, of course their manager, turned them into a skinhead band because he thought that was the way to go because skinheads were in the news at the time. That flopped completely. Then we got a little discography of them. Oh, and a LookIn competition. Win a Slade LP, which is Slade, S-L-A-Y-E-D. Let's see if we got that. Hold on. Oh, where are we? Slade. S-T. Oh, Sparks. Slade. There we go. And that's it. That's the album they were striving to win. So what are the questions? What is Noddy Holder's correct first name? That's Neville, we all know that. Slade's first big hit, Get Down and Get With It, was based on a number called Get Down With It, originally recorded by which well-known American artist? That should be easy. It's the call and response thing, isn't it? But I don't know. Complete the name of Slade's manager. Chaz Chandler. Chaz was once the bass guitarist of what famous group? The Animals. Dave Hill drives a Jensen sports car. What colour is it? No idea. Secondly, it has an unusual registration plate. What is it? Now I'm going to take a guess at Yob 1 there. I don't know if it's true, but let's say it's Yob 1. Right, moving on from Slade, we've got a half-page ad for Airfix models. We all did them, didn't we? All us 50, 60-something-year-old men. And then a double-page strip cartoon for Cat Weasel, played by Jeffrey Baildon, which was a fabulous kids' programme. He was a sorcerer from medieval times who woke up in the 20th century. And he was a great character. I remember it well, very fondly, Cat Weasel. Flying High, I don't remember that. Les Dawson is Super Flop. I don't remember that either. Folly Foot, which was about Folly Foot Farm. Bit more of a girls' programme really, because it was about horses, although it was all about action. It's a bit like Lassie was a dog, and so crimes would be solved by Lassie the dog. And Folly Foot was similar, but it was horse-based. So I don't remember much about it. We got an ad for Kellogg's Ricicles and Cocoa Krispies, where here come the crazy canines. And back in those days, and I guess well up into the 70s and 80s as well, and maybe the 90s, you'd often get a free gift in your breakfast cereal. And this was winning plastic character dog, sheepdog, guard dog, police dog, gun dog, boxer dog and racing dog. And I remember very well as a child buying the breakfast cereal or getting my mum to buy the breakfast cereal purely because there was a good gift in there. And then, of course, you'd sit at the breakfast table with your breakfast cereal and you'd have the packet in front of you and you'd literally be eating the breakfast cereal and reading the back of the box. So much easier to keep young children happy in 1972. Then we got Out of Town, edited by Jack Hargreaves, who was one of the Howl crew. Time Slip, another stripped cartoon. Time Slip was brilliant. I remember that quite well. It was two 20th century youngsters, a boy and a girl, who would slip through time and head back to previous times. And in this particular episode, if you like, they're going back to Georgian times. The tenants of Squire Briggs' estate are being terrorised by something resembling a giant bird. Well, well, well. And then we've got the, always ended up with the TV programmes. Now, I was living in south of Bristol at the time. So you've got each of the areas. So you've got Anglia, Midlands, Border, Channel, Grampian, etc. And I dare say most of them had exactly the same programmes. But HTV, for instance, which is the area I was in, on a Saturday, 10:30 was Sesame Street, 11:30 was Folly Foot, 12:35 World of Sport, which went right through the afternoon, ending with the wrestling, of course. 5:10 was UFO, 6:15 was Reg Varney Review. Reg Varney was one of the stars of On the Buses, which we started with. And 7 o'clock was the Saturday Film. Sunday, 2:15 The Big Match, followed by Sunday Matinee, The Golden Shot, which in 72 was probably Bob Monkhouse, but it could have been Norman Vaughan or even Charlie Williams. Followed by Black Beauty, The Fence Street Gang, and Screen on Sunday, another film. So there we go. A bit of a curveball for you. Not what you expect from Mark Talks Mags, but you know, we got to do this now and again, haven't we? So until the next time, from LookIn, from Slade, see you soon.